So how do we go about predicting climate? How are we going to figure out what the state of Washington needs to do in the future? There are two ways to do it. One is the UN way, the IPCC way, which is with computer models. And computer models, like any other computer thing, is garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you program the computer will be, it's what comes out the other end. They do not consider real life changes in the atmosphere, in the oceans. They do not consider real physical data. It's all theoretical. The other way is to use real physical evidence to establish cyclical patterns. This is on-the-ground research, the kind of information I've been showing you. So let's compare the two. Which one gives us the best answer? Which one should we rely on to go about predicting what's going to happen in the state of Washington? This black curve here is a curve that I took as is from the official IPCC website in the year 2000. This is what their projection was in the year 2000. It actually continues on down here a ways, but I don't have it on this curve. And they were predicting that the temperature between 2000 and 2010 was going to be increased by 1 full degree, a 1 degree warming, which is greater than the warming for the entire century. That's what they were predicting in a decade. Here is the actual record, which is the satellite record that we've already seen. And look at the gap between the two. The models failed miserably. They weren't even close. Therefore, what trust can you put in models if they cannot even predict 10 years down the line within 1 degree? They're useless. So what we can do then is look at real physical evidence to predict where we're heading. What kind of evidence can we use? We can use the natural, observable evidence, which looks something like this. The Pacific Ocean has 2 modes, a warm mode and a cold mode. This is what the temperature looked like between 1945 and 1977 in the Eastern Pacific. North America, we're about right here. Blue is cold, orange and red are warm. The whole coast of the U.S., clear up in the Gulf of Alaska, at this time was cool, and we had global cooling down here. This is blue down here is cool, red is warm. In 1977, in 1 year, there was a flip, and the Pacific Ocean changed from, in this case, cold to warm. Red is warm, and look what happened. We had global warming. Surprise, surprise. The message here is that the temperature in the Eastern Pacific governs the climate of North America. It's that simple. And so what we see is a regular pattern of a warming ocean water, cooling ocean water, warming ocean water, which is exactly mimicked in the global climate temperature. Exactly. And in this case, it's like a toggle switch on-off. This change from cool to warm mode occurred in 1 year off the coast of North America, and the climate changed that quickly. CO2 doesn't change that quickly. This is not a climate change that could have been brought about by CO2. And here's verification of that. This is what the temperature looked like off the coast of North America in 1977. And also in 1998 is very similar. In 1999, look what happened. All this nice warm water off the coast here, the red and the yellow, has now changed to cold with blue colors here. In 1999, which is 1 year after the second highest temperature of the century, behind 1936, I went out on a limb and I predicted that because of the change in the pattern of the ocean water temperatures that we're in for about 30 years of global cooling. And people thought I was crazy. After the hottest year in a long time, how could I predict we're headed for global cooling? Truth is, it happened. I was right. The last 15 years have been cooler. We've had 15 years of global cooling, as I predicted in 1990, based on the geologic record of the history of changes in the ocean water temperatures off the Pacific. Here's where we are today. Look at this. Still cold. It has been cold now for 15 years, the ocean water, and guess what? We've had 15 years with no global warming and global cooling, and that's why. So all we have to do is to read the past history of these ups and downs, and this is what you get. Here is the ocean water temperature when it was warm off the coast of North America, we had global warming. When it was cool, we had global cooling. And this is a period of about 25 to 30 years generally. 77 to 98, ocean water warm, global warming. And then in 1999, we shifted to cool, and we got cooling out to here. So it doesn't take much of an extension to say, okay, this is going to be a repeat of this, and we're in for about 25, 30 years of global cooling.
Senator Ranker has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, in your previous slide, I have two pieces to this. Your previous slide had 97 up there. If I remember correctly, 96, 97 was one of the more powerful El Nino, La Nina events that we've seen in decades.
1998 was 1998.
98? Okay,
yes,
so
that's
97,
right.
so that's it coming in then. So how does that get taken into account in your information? And then I've got to come back to the question I asked earlier, because all the data that I've read and I have before me shows that particularly in the last 12 years, we've seen an increasing temperature. We've seen more records broken. Is that again because...
I just showed you evidence to the contrary of that.
I know, but I'm telling you that I have peer-reviewed data in front of me that suggests otherwise. Is that because that peer-reviewed data has been manipulated?
That would be my guess, yes. But I don't know what data you're talking about. If you'd like to send it, I'd be happy to respond.
Science Foundation, the IPCC, the UN, the
the answer is yes. They're
like University of Washington, Western Washington University, and others.
Well, let's. I'd like to finish up the presentation,
sure.
So that we can go into that stuff in a second. And I have one question also on the ocean upwelling issue here with regards to the temperature. Because getting back again to our shellfish issue, which is an important one to myself and Senator Ranker and some other folks here in the shellfish growing regions. But when we have the ocean upwelling that could lead to the global cooling aspects that you spoke about, whether or not we agree or we take a look at it, that we can look, would that be due to the cooler water and the upwelling hitting the coast and coming into Hood Canal, which could result in a lessening of the alkaline in those waters? I mean, that's an interesting one to take a look at going forward.
That's certainly possible. The solubility of CO2 in seawater, which is what governs the generation of carbonic acid, which is what makes the seawater pH go up or down, is a function of temperature. And so the colder the water, the more CO2 that can be held by the seawater, therefore the less alkaline it is. And if you warm it up, then the sea will give off CO2 in the atmosphere, and it's actually the ocean that's controlling the composition of the atmosphere, not the other way around. So the answer to your question is that could explain some regional differences, because we know that there is upwelling that happens about every 2 years off the coast of South America to the equator, and there certainly are upwellings elsewhere. So that could be responsible for a change in the pH of the seawater. Yes, is the answer.
How are we doing on time here? How many more slides do we have?
I'm done.
You're
Any
done?
more questions? I'm done.
I didn't know we were finished there. Any more questions from the committee?